A villain is defined as a character whose evil actions or motives are important to the plot. It's really easy to find out what the evil actions are just by watching the movie. In Toy Story 1, Sid tortures things. That's not nice. In A Bug's Life, Hopper is a dictator. That's not nice. In Toy Story 3, Lotso is a deceiver. Say it with me. That's not nice. Randall from Monsters, Inc. is too competitive and resolves to cheating. Charles Muntz from Up is jealous. And Ernesto from Coco betrays his family. That's not nice. So who could possibly do anything worse than all of these things? Torture, deception, cheating. What could be worse? I'll tell you what. P.T. Flea from A Bug's Life. Whenever there's a villain in a movie, we're introduced to the character very quickly. And typically their evil actions are shown as well, but that's different for twist villains, so shut up. Sid from Toy Story, we get a scene of him torturing toys right off the bat. We know he's a bad person. Hopper is immediately shown being a dictator as the leader of the Grasshoppers. And Randall is introduced to us almost immediately, and we can tell something's not good with him. But then again, just note that all these characters are shown really quickly into the story. But we're here to talk about P.T. Flea. A Bug's Life does something really unique to P.T. Flea. It makes him look like he's not the villain by creating a different villain. Look at Hopper, right? He is the clear villain. But P.T. Flea did so many things that were just straight up worse. After we're introduced to all of our characters, like Flick, Princess Ada, all of them. And then we got Hopper in the mix too. It's a great moment. We're all sharing this time together. And then we get the circus. And it's like, oh, look, a funny circus. Oh, they're doing so poorly. But who is the employer? Tell me, who is the employer? It's P.T. Flea. Behind a failing circus, you have someone so desperate to make one thing, money. He doesn't care about his employees, he cares about money. And it's that simple. Right off the bat, we understand P.T. Flea's motive. P.T. Flea doesn't have that many lines in the movie, but his actions speak louder than his words. Although his words also speak pretty loudly. He says no refunds as his first line. No refunds, that's already about money. And then later on in the movie, he straight up sings about money. His business is held up by his employees. But he doesn't care about that, he cares about the money. But I said in the definition of a villain, that a villain is made by evil actions and evil motives. We have the motives, but what are his actions? One thing people must understand about villains is that greed is always an element, but sometimes it's not fully there. For example, Randall from Monsters, Inc., he wanted to get more scared things than Sully, I guess. Come to think of it, I don't really know what that number meant, but Charles Muntz had everything he could ever want, but he wanted that one specific bird. He ended his career over a bird named Kevin. Kevin, like the Minion. Syndrome wanted more power. He tried his best to become a superhero, but failed. And on his second attempt to take down the Pars, he failed a little bit more and died. So yeah. And P.T. Flea is no different. He has the same amount of greed, if not more, than all the other characters. The only difference is that his is disguised as help. Half of A Bug's Life leads up to building a bird. And this bird is capable of taking out Hopper and saving the ant colony. They release the bird and everything is going great. The grasshoppers are running for their lives. The ants are pretending to die, which is absolutely hilarious. Everything is going to plan. And they're gonna be saved until P.T. Flea has something to say about it. P.T. Flea sets the bird on fire. And it ruins them. That could have been life or death. Luckily, it ended up well, but that was the worst call. It could have all ended there. And I find it to be out of greed that this bird is burned. Now, before you argue that he burned it because he thought he was going to die and everyone else was going to die, and he was doing a service to the people, I mean, it probably was. But fleas technically don't have functional eyes. They see by light, not visual image. So by setting the bird on fire, that means that he can see it better and he can run for his life more efficiently. And because of that, there's no way that he would set the bird on fire unless he was doing it out of self-preservation and being a greedy son of a gun. So this means that one flea put his own life in front of an entire colony of living things. Living ants, but you know what I mean. With all of that said, is he really the greatest villain of all time? I stand by it. Yes. And why do I know that? I know that because he gets away with it. Randall is banished. Charles Muntz dies. He gets thrown off a blimp for crying out loud. Syndrome gets sucked into a jet engine. But what happens to P.T. Flea? He leaves with his circus. What he was there to get in the first place, to make him money. There is no good ending, but you think there is. It's not until you realize that P.T. is even a villain that he becomes a good one. Because without the knowledge of him being a villain, he's just a bug. So viewer, you tell me this. You tell me, is he just a flea?
Anyway, that's the video. I made the video again. It's a video. Come back for one next week. I'm gonna end the video now. Have a good